Am I plugged in? Oh, there we go. Well, good morning, everybody. So glad to be here. Somebody just asked me a minute ago, said, do you remember me? And I thought, I don't remember where my socks are. I know this. I put 2 in the dryer and only 1 comes out. So somewhere in my house there's a single sock party going on. I'm so glad to be here. It's a different spirit here. Just so good. It's refreshing. And congratulations to all the seniors. Your life is over as you know it now. It's like this girl tells me the other day, she goes, yeah, I'm just waiting for Mr. Right, and I want to travel the world. And well, you work at Arby's. It's going to be a while. Jesus asked this question. He asked, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world, but he loses his soul? What should a man give in exchange for his soul? I love to come here, and I'm 60 now, and I hate it. I just really do. When you get old, things fall off. It's like one day you're walking around the house, oh, there's where you're at. And your face slides into your neck slides into your chest. Your thighs, kind of like tapioca pudding, they just melt down into your calves. You don't have ankles, you have cankles. They're like these. I kind of like summer, and sometimes I don't. It's like, hey, let's go to the pool. Well, me in a bathing suit, because I'm the guy, that wears long sleeves. Hey, feeling good about myself, wearing a long sleeve shirt in the swimming pool. I'm the guy you talk about. But yeah, I was looking at this lady the other day, and I thought, you obviously just don't have a mirror, because they call them tank tops, and I'm thinking, if you look like a tank, probably shouldn't wear that top. Got a mole the size of a Little Debbie pie. It's got an afro growing out of it. I just took my glasses off and I realized I can't see. These old bodies, they wear out. I'm so proud of all of you, though. But I promise you, life as you know it will be gone in an instant. Before you know it, you're talking about things you'd never talk about. Hey, they're having a sale down here at Aldi's. And you can buy just as cheap as you can at Kroger's. You start talking with the whistles. The Lord's been good to me. Spoke to me on many. It's like that. It happens. You start walking around the house, you catch a glimpse of yourself, you look like a pillowcase full of doorknobs. It's like, how'd all this happen? One of my real spiritual friends, he says, Jamey, you're not a very deep preacher. You're not very deep. And I thought, yeah, but I'm not stuck either. I still believe you can be a Christian and actually enjoy your faith. Oh, I believe that. I'm not sure he's the Baptist. I'm not. He got me before they did. If you have your Bible, I want you to find the Gospel of Mark. Everybody listen real quick. Just listen to this. Especially everyone. Listen. At some point in your childhood, you and your friends went out to play for the very last time, and nobody knew it. We believe that life is going to be like it always is. Young people believe, hey, man, people tell me. No, they don't. You tell people. You know, several people have been asking me to sing. They're not asking you to sing. You're asking yourself to sing. And it's all about, hey, you know, status. And here's what the Bible says. There is a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. It's just not for many what real life and real living is. We had, Johnny, I thought I'd see you Friday night. We had the 50th year reunion of the Crownsman Quartet, and it was such a wonderful time. I'll bet there were 600 or 700 people here. It was a great crowd, and I looked out. But do you know, there are a lot of those fellas that used to sing with the Crownsmen, they're not here anymore. What is your life? Well, the Bible says it's a vapor. You're here for a little while, and then you're gone. But whether you know it or not, there's a battle going on for your soul. How many of you know that the devil is a liar? He's the father of all lies. He doesn't tell the truth. And I want to tell you something. I believe there's a counterfeit salvation. That's what I believe. I believe for everything that's real, Satan has mastered a counterfeit. I believe that with all my heart. For everything that's genuine, it's like frozen yogurt. It's as good as premium ice cream. You're on dope if you think yogurt is as good as ice cream. I don't even like the word yogurt. You want some yogurt? Sounds like you ate it and it's on its way back up. Would you take a cup of this, bro? I know I think different. Why do we give vegetables such violent names? Black-eyed peas. Squash. Beets. Oh, that's good for you. It's good for you. I'll have White Castle. I got news for you. If you have White Castle, so is everybody else. And it's good to laugh too, isn't it? The Bible says a merry heart does good like a medicine. Before you know it, though, life as you know it's going to change. I promise you. It's like, I remember, can I say it? I guess I can. I remember as a little kid, I thought, I got to go to the bathroom. Got to go to the bathroom. But I went swim all day, and I'd play baseball, and I'd come home, take a nap. Then I'd go to the bathroom. Now when you're old, I got to go to the bathroom. And I got news for you. I'm going somewhere. It's happening. I probably shouldn't have said that, should I, Brother Johnny? You've heard me talk about oscopies. You guys don't know about this. Pray for me. I've got this big test, and I've really studied. Let me tell you, wait till you get my age and you have a test. You don't need a pencil. And if it's got the word oscopy in it, it's going to be a bad day. Because it has to do with a hose, a searchlight, and an air compressor. So follow me just very briefly. Mark chapter 8. Mark chapter 8 and verse 34. Then calling to the crowd to join his disciples, he said, if any of you want to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you're going to lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake and the sake of the good news, you'll save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Verse 37, is anything worth more than your soul? Can I tell you, one of the reasons there's a battle going on for your soul is because the devil knows how valuable you are. There are people, and I hear it, and we've all felt this way. We've felt unappreciated. At some point in our life, we felt unattractive. I hear people say, I just need to lose about 6 more pounds. Wash your hair. I wish 6 pounds. You know, I think as of this morning, Sylvia, I'd lost, 130 pounds. I think. Maybe 120. But, not that's great news. But I'm still morbidly obese. That's what they say. The charts say, you're still too fat. And I'm not going to run. I'm not running. Let's run. No, let's not. And say we did. I've got a car. I'm not running unless there's a clown with a bloody knife and chasing me. Is there anything worth more than your soul? And the answer is no. And if you don't think your soul is valuable, think about the price that was paid for your soul. I didn't lose her. I know where she's at. My daughter Holly's dead. I didn't lose her. I know where she's at. But I'm telling you, nobody believes when you're a young woman and you have a baby someday. Maybe God will give you a baby. Maybe someday you'll be a mother. Maybe someday you'll be a father. But no father and no mother ever believes there's going to come a time in your life when you're going to bury your kid. I mean, we expect them to bury us, right? But when you lose a kid, your life changes forever. It's different. You know Holly never went to a prom in her whole life? Never went to a dance, never went on a date. Holly had an aneurysm when she was a little girl. She spent her life, I met a woman today in the early service, she used to take care of Holly. Out in Mason, she took care of her. And people would have to give her a bath and have to feed her, Johnny. And listen to this. She lived to be 30 years old. Nobody expected that. But I'll tell you what, today we have hope beyond this life. She's not in a hospital. Somebody asked me, is there anything worse than that? Yeah, there is. You could have a kid that says, hey, I don't believe in your God. I'm going to hell. Doesn't matter to me. You know what? Holly's in heaven today. Your soul is valuable. And listen, I promise you, I've lost patience with things that don't matter. There are very few millionaires who know who the winner of Big Brother is going to be. Honestly, there are very few millionaires watching Dancing with the Stars. I've just got to get home and see Dancing with the Stars. You've got The Bachelor. Oh, that's me. Hey. This shirt is too long. It didn't used to be. There used to be belly out here that pulled it up. Hey, all right. How come you don't get some new clothes? I don't have money for every size of this evolution. And by the way, you know what I'm doing with my fat clothes? I'm giving them away. And want to know why? Because I'm not going back there. I'm not going back. I'm burning the ships. Does that make sense? Now listen, your soul is valuable, but listen, you only have one soul. Everybody here, write it down. Everybody here, you're going to spend eternity somewhere. And it depends on what you do. There's a show on television called The Bachelor. And there's a show, because of equality, called The Bachelorette. And, you know, in an instant, they're making a decision about who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. So you're out with 3 people and you have to make a life decision. Are you that stupid? Listen, you watch that stuff. It's like the National Enquirer. I can see an impulse buy. I mean, you know, somebody spotted Elvis at Sonic and, you know, Princess Grace and Monica with a Martian hand growing out of her forehead. I see like an impulse buy. But there are people who read the National Enquirer and they read it with a yellow highlighter like, hey, honey, look here, did you know this? I'm going to write this down here. Your soul has value, folks, but a lot of what you spend your time doing serves no real purpose. And a lot of people, you know, I was telling Pastor today, one of the problems about getting older is you're still young up here. Well, Jamey, you don't act 60, and I'm going to do everything I can not to. Really? Go down here at the Cracker Barrel. No, I'm not going. I'm not going. I don't want to go. Sit in a rocking chair and listen to the Oak Ridge Boys. I don't want to do that. Giddy up, boom, ba, boom, bum out. That wasn't too bad, was it? But there's a battle raging for your soul. There was a price that was paid for your soul. And I promise you, if you're taking notes, you ought to write this down. Duties of equal value don't conflict. You have to decide. I tell young people today, I don't know if I'm allowed to come down here, but I'm going to. You have to decide. I can actually do that now. Do you know, about a year ago, I was tripping and falling. I couldn't hardly walk. And for me, it was either to quit eating or die, you know. And preachers preach against everything. It's wrong to do this. It's wrong to do that. How come it's okay to dig your grave with your fork? How come that's okay? We have this one life. And here's what I know today that I promise you, I didn't believe before. You show me how a guy treats his mother, I'll show you how he'll treat his wife. Yeah, I'm serious. Now, you may not believe that right now, but it's true. You show me how a guy treats his mother, I'm going to show you how he's going to treat his wife. And it's basically, about 90% of the time, that's true. You show me how a girl treats her daddy, I'll show you how she'll treat her husband. And in just a minute, life as you know it can change. But there's this battle. It's always going on. It says, do this, do this, do this. And by the way, one of the challenges of this world and this economy, our social economy, is one of something called instant gratification. This world says this. Listen, love. Boy, don't you wish you knew then what you know now?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Love can wait, but lust can't. Love can wait. Lust can't. And again, people don't believe it. It's like the guy says, I know I'm right. Dude, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Well, I thought marriage, you can have all the money in the world, not have true riches. You can be married and still be lonely. Marriage doesn't end your loneliness. Marriage doesn't ensure your happiness. And I've preached it. I wish I would have lived it all. It's better to spend 10 fewer years with the right one than 10 too many with the wrong one. It's true. Listen, I would rather be alone and happy than unhealthy with someone. Oh, you know, I have to have like companionship. Get a golden retriever. They're a lot nicer. They are. And they actually smell better. We believe this young, handsome dude. Hey, did you see them things he does? Those whippoorwills. I can do that. I can. In my mind. He won't be able to do that forever. I saw Lano Bell today. I didn't know Lano was on it's got one of those roller coaster things you walk on, or little coaster things. It's got brakes on it. It's cool, man. It's got little tennis balls on the bottom, like, hey. Blinkers. He didn't used to need that all the time. You ever look back at your life and think, I wish I would have taken as much care and concern for my soul as God thinks of it? And how long do we have? Is there anybody here that can guarantee yourself another year? My friend, and Pastor knows, my friend, he has something called pancreatic cancer, which cancer is bad enough, but when you get cancer of the pancreas, that's a horse of a different color. Usually when you get pancreatic cancer, it's a death sentence. It's not if it comes back, but when it comes back. And do you know one of the problems? Here's what they say. You want to know why pancreatic cancer is so dangerous? It's because where it's at. You know, it's kind of hit. By the time they find it, you're already in big trouble. He had something called a Whipple. It was called a Whipple procedure. They took out the head of his pancreas. They took out his spleen. Pastor, they took out his gallbladder. They took out part of his intestine. And I was just on the phone with him, and it's like, you're not going to be here. Unless God does a miracle, you're not going to be here. You may not have that queen in your life forever. You may not be able to do those flipping cartwheels you do. But guess what? That's not what's important. What's important is your soul. And there's a battle going on for it. Marry this person, buy this, if I had this car. Listen, you can have all that and be empty. Empty. You know Kate Spade? So there's this lady, her name is Kate Spade, and she was a designer. She was a billionaire. Do you understand? Billion, not million. Do you know they think she took her life? This week, they think she ended her life. They say that she probably went into a closet and hung herself. That's what I hear. And guess what? Chef Anthony Bourdain, 61 years old, pretty successful chef. And he was in France, I believe, and he was doing one of his shows. And they say he took his life. Listen to what I'm telling you. Suicide is never an option. Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It's a permanent solution for a temporary problem. Listen, if you live here on planet Earth, you've had days where you're so discouraged you don't want to get up out of bed. I know what that's like. You don't want to go on. But I'm telling you, there's something that will help you. And listen, it's not a new car. It's not a new relationship. It's not what the world says you got to have all this. It's Jesus. I'm telling you, He'll change your life. He'll make you different. I don't have to go to church. I get to go to church. I'm glad when they said, let's go to church. This is not a challenge. This is not a, what do you call it? This is not a chore for me. And listen, here's what I'm going to say this, I've got to hurry. I really hate the pressure that Hollywood and the fashion industry and the cosmetic industry put especially on our little girls. I really hate it. Fashion, cosmetic, here's what they say. Well, unless you're pencil thin, and you look like this, and you have all this, you better hear what I'm telling you. Your value is not relegated to what you look like. Do you understand what I'm telling you? And looks change, I promise you. You ought to see the homecoming queen now. Anybody? I've been to my 40th year high school reunion. Jesus, take the wheel. Oh. Girls love to reach under that box, under the bed, and pull out those pictures. This is when I was head cheerleader. Did you eat the rest of the team? He shouldn't have said that. See, and I do, and that's the problem. God says if you think it, you're going to get charged for it, so why not go ahead and say it, right? I remember going to church thinking, I can't wait till this is over. I grew up, church was like 4 hours long. I really envied my Catholic buddies. They go for like 30 minutes. Because if they go longer than them Catholics, they'll protest. Yeah, they'll revolt. I didn't like the music in their church, though. It was like, ah, 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 ah. Ah! Come on, Padre, I got some sinning to do. Let's get through this thing. Derek wasn't just a Catholic. He was like a Shiite Catholic. I mean, he was there all the time. Listen, here's what you need to know. Your soul is not about being a Baptist. It's not about being a Catholic. It's not about being a Methodist. Your soul was bought with a price. You're bought with a price. It has to do with what Jesus did for you. Listen, I tell you this, and who's going to play, Matthew? Who's going to play the keyboard? Somebody? Honey, would you play just something on the keyboard? Would you all look this way for a minute? I love to laugh. I love to smile. I actually preached a message here. I don't know if you remember it, Matthew. Anybody here ever hear a song called The Tears of a Clown? Now, if there's a smile on my face, it's only there trying to fool the public. Because when it comes down to fooling you, honey, that's quite a different subject. Don't let my glad expression give you the wrong impression, because really I'm sad. Well, I can't say my life is relegated to that, but I can tell you there's a lot of times I'm smiling on the outside, but I'm battling the same things you are on the inside. And I know you probably don't want to hear a preacher say that, but we struggle just like you do. We battle just like you do. They say, well, what do you think? Whatever you want to play, brother. You might think, and of course you'll talk to Pastor Johnny, Pastor Matt, one of the pastors here on the staff, and say, hey, what do you think about this? And the truth is, it really don't matter what I think. I know this, I battle just like you all do. I do. There's times that I could let my temper get to a place where I wind up hurting somebody or they hurt me. It can happen. But I'll tell you, God can change your life. Let you start over. I don't know how old you are, but I'll tell you what, buddy. You better hear what this old preacher's telling you. The devil wants to ruin your life. He really does. I wear this bracelet on my hand. It says, you're only one choice away from a different life. That can be a good choice. You could say, hey, Dad, Jason's having a party down here tonight, and I know they're going to be knocking a few back and doing a little bit of this, but guess what, And sometimes guys will say, hey, Dad, I'm going to go, but don't worry, I'm not going to do that. The better option, hey, Dad, Jason's having a party or Cody's having a party, and they're going to be drinking and doing a little this. And here's the best option, so I'm not going. It's better to avoid what you might not be strong enough to resist. Does that make sense? And I'm not perfect. I really am not. I'm not. I've messed up a lot. I've never been to a strip club in my whole life. Never. That doesn't mean I'm any better than anybody else, but in my mind, This is me. I'm a father of 3 girls. And the thought of some guy sitting there looking at my girl, does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? Everybody here is going to spend eternity somewhere. And it doesn't even, Pastor Matt, it don't even matter how good you are. You might be a guy that says, hey, Jamey, I've never been to a strip club. Or, hey, Jamey, I've never taken drugs in my life. Or you might say, hey, you know what, I've never done this. And listen, you can be a good person and still be lost. Being good doesn't take you to heaven. It doesn't. I've always wanted to ask people that think if you're good, you get to go to heaven. I've always wanted to ask them this. How good do you have to be? And how will you know when you get there? Does that make sense? And if being good could get you to heaven, what's a guy like me supposed to do at 60? I don't have enough years left to do enough good things to make up for all the bad I've done. But I'm going to tell you, it's not based on that. I want you to look this way and listen. The minute you cry out and you ask Him, He'll change your life. He'll give you a new start. Well, I can't forgive myself. No, you can't. And the good news is you don't have to. You don't have to. When Jesus died on the cross, He did it for every single sin that we'll ever commit. He did. And I'll tell you this. He didn't just die for your simple sins, if that makes sense. He died He died for your most shocking sins. He died, Rick, for the things we've done that none of us could ever believe we would do. I'm at a whole new season. Listen, I've lived not every day of my life at the foot of the cross. Does that make sense to you? But your soul has value. And your new life begins not when you come back from youth camp. And that was a great experience. I hear it was just wonderful. And that might have been the beginning of something. By the way, youth camp was so cool for us because, and I'll tell you what, when we went to youth camp, there was no MTV. There was no drugs or no drinking, no alcohol. We didn't do any of that. And I just thought it was amazing. How can this be the best week of my life and there's none of that I think is so vital all the rest of the time? Because I did. I thought it was so vital. I had the best time in the world. I heard your voice. There's something so different about your voice. And I heard it, and I remember when you weren't. I told Joy, I said, I want to see Angel this morning. I want to see her. And she put her little head on me. It was like, I remember her. She says, this is like my girl. Just like one of my daughters. It broke my heart today. She sat right here. And she put her little head over on my shoulder. On my knee. That's not my shoulder. It's my knee. And I'm so proud of who you are. So proud of what you became. Would you do something? Would you bow your head with me? I want to ask you a question, okay? Everybody here. If you died today, do you know for sure? Do you know for sure you're going to heaven? Do you know that you know that you know that you know? Do you know for sure? If you died today, are you 100% sure that you're going to heaven? I mean, do you know that you know that you know that you know?